we actually see a big impact from cloud services. There's an enormous traffic growth coming from the cloud services because obviously all of them needs to connect between each other, and there's a lot of connection in and out of these data centers, and you know, we're a big connector of the data centers, and we transport enormous traffic in our network, and therefore cloud services is just generating a lot of traffic for us, which is very good for us. TeliaSonera International Carrier is a carrier of large chunk of traffics. We carry data services, we carry Ethernet service, IP services, and normal transport services. We also do fiber and outsourced network services, of course. So, you know, all the traffic that's going to go from one data center to another data center is a potential customer of us, and we would like to be part of that transport service between the data centers. So that's a tremendous opportunity for us to take care of this traffic between them. Obviously going both from Europe to US and from US to Europe, but also within the continents on both sides. Obviously the cloud service is going to be stored in data centers all over the place, but there will be also a need for these tremendously large data centers, and there are a number of places in the globe that's dedicated for these places. There are a number of places in US, kind of colder climate places, but also in Europe. If you go to the Nordics, there are some places in the Nordics where you can put these enormous data centers using the green energy and all that stuff you need. But of course there is a need to be close to the end users as well. So I would say cloud services are going to be spread around, but there will be a number of data centers where the biggest chunk of traffic is going to come in and out from. And that's where we have our strength, having fibers to these places around, both in Europe and US. We saw the first signs of 100 gigs in 2012, and we made our network available for these type of services at the end of 2012. So during 2013, 2014, we've had 100 gig services available in our network, but it's only really until late last year that we saw the big demand for 100 gig services. We can serve customers now quite easily between, you know, the west coast of US all the way to the east part of Europe, and we still see a small demand for that type of services, but there is a huge demand for transport services between A and B on the 100 gig level now. And once the sort of router vendors are also coming out with IP ports affordable for the 100 gig market, there will be a need for 100 gig services directly connected to the router interfaces. So I would say this is the year when 100 gig is really going to take off. And I think we're set to deliver these services, and we're really geared up for doing fast deliveries on 100 gig services going forward. I would say some of the content providers are really interested in getting onto internet services through 100 gig interfaces. So absolutely we can serve some of them, getting them on board on the internet services directly through 100 gig interfaces. But of course the big data center operators and the cloud service providers, they need 100 gig services between their data centers. And that's a sweet spot for us, serving them with 100 gig services, typically from a big city in US to a big city in Europe where they have data centers in both sides and they just need simple transport between them. That is a good way of selling 100 gig services. Absolutely, you know, the way we sell these services, of course you can buy a full bandwidth service from us and we provide you from A to B. But there are some companies out there who believe they have the large volumes so that they would like to buy the equipment themselves. So what we do is we make room for them in our services. You know, we let them use our amplifiers throughout the system. We just make a spectrum room for them in our boxes, and they can put in their own equipment in that. That's not something we've done much of. It's a bit scary because you let someone into your own gear and your own equipment, but it's something that's going to come. And the more the vendors are used to this type of services, the easier it's going to be for us to sell that service. We have built out the full network. We want people to take advantage of using that network. That could be through a dedicated bandwidth service or a spectrum service where someone is using their own equipment in our network. I would say at OFC we're really interested in the metro services. You know, how can you transport the last mile piece of traffic? You know, we want to be in every data center in every city. How do we come to all these places in an affordable way so we can sell our services from A to B, but also all the way to C in a city? And that's really what we look forward to see here at OFC. If people can really provide these type of cheap gear, the last miles into the data center, so we can sell services wherever it is in a city and not just the main points in the city.